It's also National Fried Chicken Day today, isn't it not?
Yeah, but
you don't have any fried chicken.
I don't have any fried chicken because I got my cholesterol report back, and it's probably about.
It said don't eat any fried chicken ever again. It said, right?
It actually said don't ever eat again, so I'm eating sushi.
Did you put any mayonnaise on the sushi?
Of course, I put mayonnaise on the sushi.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, July the 20th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai eating away. How are you, Mr. Samurai?
Hey, folks. International Cake Day today.
It is International Cake Day.
It's International Cake Day. I shouldn't be eating this, but
you're eating.
Is this it's a tuxedo cake?
A tuxedo cake.
And I'm in a t-shirt.
If you were only in a tuxedo T-shirt, that would be even better now, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't own one of those. I don't think I'm cool enough to pull one of those off.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. So
you just got home today, didn't you?
I did. I got home from Pittsburgh, the Burger Pits. Pittsburgh, yeah, all the way out in Western PA. Steel City. Yep, Steel City.
Have any Iron City while you were out there?
I did. I had.
That's right, at the game.
At the game. I went to the Mets Pirates game on Saturday night, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, Edgar Diaz gave up a grand slam.
He gave up, Seth Lugo, they were winning 6-0 in the bottom of the 8th. Game's over, right? Seth Lugo comes in, gives up 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and so the Mets are winning 6-5 in the bottom of the 9th. Edwin Diaz comes down to close it down, right? Nope. Grand slam. They win 9-. Actually, the Mets did get a run in the top of the 9th, so it was 7-5.
But like Yogi always said, it ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over. This is
that man was a absolute genius.
Yeah, that and the comment when you get to the fork in the road, take it. Those were the two best things.
Actually, my favorite was always no one goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
No one goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Talking about a restaurant in Little Falls, I believe. Yeah, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
Yep.
So those were Yogiisms. They're great. But
the best.
Pittsburgh was good. I got to tell you, I had an Irish red ale. I forget which brewery. I look at it first at the game, and then I'm like, you know what? When in Rome, right? So I had a big can of Iron City beer. They had Iron City Light, Icy Light. They had Icy Light Mango.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I did not go there. No, but Iron City.
You know what? Now you're making me feel bad because I went down to Texas. Didn't have any Lone Star, though. I did have what was that one beer? I forget what it was called. That Texas Blonde, which is kind of the staple down there now, and I think it's kind of taken over from Shiner,
right,
as the staple that everyone drinks down there now. Now they've discovered hops.
Right, of course. Exactly. But the breweries were great. There's so many breweries in and around Pittsburgh right now. There's like
how many
in the area? There's like 42-ish, give or take. Yeah, 42 breweries. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'll spare everybody the Douglas Adams diatribe on that.
But good.
No, I'm going to
spare them. Don't spare us.
No, it's the answer to the question of the life, the universe, and everything. They just don't know the question, and that's right. As it should be.
Exactly.
But just keep 42. Just keep 42 in mind.
Just keep 42 in mind. Okay. So, and what's that? What's that gonna? When are we gonna find out? Another show?
This is not foreshadowing. It's just, no. This is something cosmic and spiritual. I guess. I don't know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It was a great weekend. Had a lot of good beer. Went to a lot of good breweries. Went to.
It looked like you got a lot of great beer. I was checking your Untappd. You got a lot of 4.5s in there.
Yeah. We did a little homework because in 2.5 days we weren't hitting 42 breweries. Was not going to happen.
Man, you got old.
Are you going to do 40? What are you going to do? Have a 1-2 ounce pour at each brewery in 2.5 days?
I don't know. Next year I am planning on going to
42 breweries in
Pittsburgh. We'll see. Yeah, there's no way I'm getting 42 in.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I'm just yanking your chain.
I know you're not. I know you are.
I've got to turn my email off before it drives me crazy.
I think you should. But yeah, no, so we went to the I wouldn't say the best of the best because all the breweries there, specialize in something. They have something really good, to offer or whatever. But we went, honed our route, and the ones we went to, we took a look at the list beforehand, and just had a lot of great beer. And I got to tell you too, we had at one brewery, one of the breweries was Old Thunder, and outside there was a food truck of sorts. It wasn't actually, it was a truck with a smoker.
Oh
up to it.
yeah,
So it was
you told me about this
barbecue place. It was Blowfish Barbecue.
And the owner's name is?
The owner's name is Hootie.
Naturally.
Hootie and Jody were slinging the barbecue that day. Oh my God, this brisket was some of the best brisket I've ever had. I got to be honest with you, it really was. It really was. Yeah.
Brisket in Western Pennsylvania.
Delicious. Yeah, right. Tell me about it, right? Delicious brisket in Western Pennsylvania. It was amazing. It really was.
I somehow or another had great brisket in Massachusetts. Somehow I can do that. But cheers from the log room guys to Hootie and Jody of Blowfish Barbecue in Pittsburgh. Delicious brisket, guys. Anybody that's out there, go to Old Thunder definitely, and I'll have a list that we'll put up on the website and up on Facebook of some of the breweries that I hit and some of the beers I had there too. Was I supposed to do that for Rhode Island? Oh no, I've drank all their beers.
I was going to say that they've been on the show already. So.
We've had them on the show.
But I'll put that up. You check out those breweries, but definitely check out Blowfish Barbecue too, wherever they're at. I'm not sure if they're actually just at Old Thunder or if they tour around. I can't imagine they're just there, but it's possible. Who knows? But check them out. They're on Untapped too. Untapped, Instagram. If you go to my Jersey Johnny TLR profile at Jersey Johnny TLR, I did put up a picture of them and tag them in it. So check it out. Check them out. They're really
funny.
Good.
It's funny you put up the quote. The little snippet was us talking about how bad my cholesterol is. Yeah. And here I'm shoving cake in my face.
And here you were eating cake, exactly.
We wonder why.
Well, did you put any mayonnaise on the cake?
There's no mayonnaise on the cake.
I don't not put mayonnaise on the cake.
It's not mayonnaise on the cake, is it?
I don't know.
No, it's not mayonnaise.
It's not mayonnaise. I was going to say if it was mayonnaise on that cake, it would be a different cake, quite different cake. I would sprinkle a little bacon on it too. At that point, I mean.
Oh yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah. So anyway, cool. Well, speaking of brisket,
where can the best brisket probably in the country?
You would think, you would imagine, right? And I haven't had every brisket in every state, right? So, but you would imagine that the best brisket would be from what's that state down south?
That would be Texas.
Texas. So our guest today is a Beeritual Advisor, self-proclaimed Beeritual Advisor. Beeritual Advisor from Fort Worth. Just got back from Houston, as a matter of fact. Let's bring him on, shall we?
Let's.
There he is, right there.
There he is.
Tony Drewry, or AKA Alacran.
Is it Alacran or Alacran?
Alacran. There he is.
You got to roll that R.
Yes, you do.
Alacran.
You don't have to, but it sounds better if you do.
It does.
Or you could say it like you did, Alacran.
Alacran.
There he is, Beeritual Advisor from Fort Worth, Texas. Just got back from Houston, right?
Correct. Literally about 2 hours ago.
There you go. Well, you got back after I got back from Pittsburgh, so I've been back later.
Well, hopefully you had air conditioning.
I was going to say I got back to no air conditioning, so that was fun.
Well, it didn't. The weather was actually pretty nice, kind of overcast and rainy, and hardly got much higher than 90 the entire time I was there. So
is that all? Well, that's lovely.
Hey, for Houston in the summer, that's pretty amazing.
That's lovely.
And the humidity is about what, 98%?
Yes. If not 103, it's
right.
Yeah. Houston tries harder.
You gotta love it. So, well, seeing as you already cracked your beer because you did before we even started the show, why don't you tell us what it is? I'll throw the crow up there.
It's from Brash Brewing. I stopped by there this morning on the way out to pick some of this up for a beer philosophy discussion that I lead weekly here in Fort Worth,
which we're going to find out more about in a little bit.
Oh yeah. And also some to bring up to another brewery here in Fort Worth that they kind of, I make my way back and forth all over Texas all the time. So I get tasked with bringing beers for the people.
Nice.
So this was some of it. But this is the Easy 7 Pale Ale. And it's a tribute to a skate park in Houston. But it's got a little, on the top, it's got, it says, eventually this can will lead you to a man named Tony. you will find him on a Friday in Texas.
Well, we found a Tony on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
Online.
Exactly. So this Tony's on a Tuesday in Texas. When you could find him on Apple Podcasts by Friday with this podcast, but on for the live Facebook and YouTube feed, obviously it's Tuesday. But hey, whatever works. How is it? Tell us about it.
This is good beer. They actually kind of design. These guys make. I mean, they're not called brash for nothing. And they.
Yeah, I did see when I pulled it up on Untappd. The first beer that popped up, I did see the name of the beer. That was interesting.
Pussy Wagon.
Pussy Wagon. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Imagine trying to get label approval for that.
Actually, didn't Steve talk about that when he was on the show?
I think he might have actually.
I think he brought up
he might
Pussy
have,
Wagon. Yeah.
The label is actually a pimp cat driving a really nice looking Cadillac.
Oh wow, is that a nod to Fritz? Must be a nod to Fritz.
I was gonna say, let's be PG. It's called Felix, not Fritz.
Yeah, Felix. Yeah,
Felix. Yeah. That's it, right? But cool. All right.
So these guys are pretty well known for everything that they make has a voluminous amount of hops in it.
Nice.
They push the boundary of that because that's what they like. They were actually the guy that owns the brewery, Ben Full of, owned a bar for years called the Petrol Station. If you've ever been to Houston, it was a pretty well-known craft beer destination joint, and they were Stone's most bitter bar in the United States for several years running.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
So anyway, it's no shock that their pale ale is it's got a lot more hops in it than you're used to. It's very West Coast style. But I mean, even the stouts these guys make, even the sweet beers, even the lager, they do make a crispy boy now, which I thought was funny. They finally, But one of my favorite breweries anywhere, and the prophecy was fulfilled. I was told when I walked in on Friday to the brewery, and he's like, "Man, I just drank one of these beers, and you just showed up like Beetlejuice,
like magic."
That's pretty funny. That's great, actually.
No, I like this one. I actually am, you're the lager room guys. Lagers are my go-to, but, get back with some freshies from the brewery. You got to dive right into them.
The joke is that we rarely drink lagers on the lager room guys.
Well, hey, thanks for letting me know now.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you would have listened anyway, right?
Right. But once in a while we'll have a couple. I think it was like a 3 week span back in, I think it was like March or April, that we had lagers. Both of us had lagers every show, which is ironically, it wasn't even planned out. But it was
absolute coincidence.
It gets a lot hotter here in Texas, so lagers are the jam,
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, but then again, how do you explain Florida? They get nearly as hot, just as humid, and their jam down there are pastry stouts.
I don't think anybody can explain Florida, really.
That's a good point. That is a really good point.
But
no, all offense.
I'm just going with what's out there.
Exactly. Well, I think we're supposed to have a guest on in the next couple months from Florida, right? So maybe he can explain Florida to us at that point.
Yeah, but if you can explain that guest, that's the first.
This is true.
If we can get him on, he's a hard man to pin down.
So we'll just get your brother on. Maybe he can explain it.
Yeah, I'm not the
he
can't. Down. You nailed this. So
my brother's a Jersey boy, so no, I don't think he can nail it either.
He's a Florida transplant, so he's a Jersey transplant in Florida.
But he's been there for a while though, so maybe we'll see. We'll ask his wife. She was born there.
There you go.
Probably one of like 15 people born in the state.
Yeah, right.
Everyone else is from Jersey and New York.
There you go. So what are you drinking, Samurai? Why don't you get a beer open and I'll get one.
I pulled out a Lord Hobo Boss Pup.
There you go.
So I wanted to go a little lighter. This is a Session NEIPA. So I got
Session New England IPA.
Yeah, so I got me a Haze Boy here.
Or a Session NEPA, as some people call it.
No one calls it that.
Oh no, some people do.
Really?
People do. Absolutely.
Did you smack them?
I've heard it quite often recently, like within the last several months. NEPA.
NEPA.
And
Okay.
then,
I guess people can say NEPAs.
Then you got the New England Imperial India Pale Ale, so it's NEPA. There's two eyes.
NEPA?
You guys are out of control, man.
So I poured this into my my Crafted. Crafted is they're a beer store up in Holliston, Massachusetts.
Sure,
they're halfway between where I used to live in Mass for those months and Framingham. So I was on my way to Jack's Abbey. Speaking of lagers, man, those people make some lagers.
We could do a Jack Sabby show, and then we'll all be drinking lagers, right?
Oh God, yeah. So let's see what this one's.
It looked pretty good. It looked pretty. Look at what I was going to say. You're going to drink half of it in one shot, or well, that is you.
I almost did because damn, that's nice.
Is it tasty?
It's nice. Yes. I'm not stealing your word. You use tasty.
I use tasty. I overuse tasty.
He does use overuse. This is a grapefruit bomb.
Is it a grapefruit bomb? Wow, looks pretty tasty.
Yeah, that's going to be gone in no time. I may have to grab another one of those. Good thing they're only 5%.
There you go. All right, I will for my first beer. I'm going all Oregon today.
All Oregon.
Yeah, well,
you just got back from Pittsburgh.
Actually, going, well, you know what? No, I did just get back from Pittsburgh, but I had these in the fridge already, so I want to drink these first, right?
Okay.
And I can't even say all Oregon. Oh, I'm going all Great Notion today. So I'm going to start off with
nothing wrong with that.
Aguas Frescas, right there.
Speaking of grapefruit.
There you go.
Right, Fresca.
There you go. So we'll open that up.
Is it a series with different fruits?
Or
does it have all the fruits in one?
I think all the fruits in one.
It's a Mexican thing, right? Yeah. Where you've got the coconut water, the hibiscus water.
If you go to a stand or even a lot of restaurants here, they'll have about 10 of those jugs with all different flavors.
All different,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find maybe 3 in Jersey and only maybe 2 or 4 locations, right? Authentic Mexican rarely sets foot in this state.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, Great Notion is now in New Jersey, and they have been for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now.
I haven't seen them yet.
Kane Brewing is actually distributing now, not just for themselves. And their first client, if you will, their first account to distribute is Great Notion. They brought Great Notion.
How in the world did New Jersey law allow that? We've got just like every state, we got some crazy laws.
Well, you know what's funny? I'll tell you now. There's another brewery that you're familiar with it's in the Karlstad area that is doing the same thing.
Yeah, but aren't the beers also brewed there?
No, well, yeah, it's they're distributing Imprint now, and I believe they contracted for Imprint. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on any of this, but they are distributing the Imprint beers as well. But they're doing the same thing, and there's a few breweries that do that now. I mean, Cape May opened a distribution. Cape May Brewing opened distribution.
Oh.
So, and they've been doing that for that's been over a year now, almost 2, that they opened Cape May. So, but yeah, it's a new thing. I mean, because you got to get a distribution license if you're self-distributing, right? Once you have a distribution license, you can distribute.
You can distribute other people's beers.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh wow,
that's interesting. Because Jersey has so many, constricting laws. A lot of them were eased up. Was it about 8 years ago?
9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah,
and then COVID eased more of them. So
up until September, this is true. COVID did ease a lot of them, but up until September of 2012, there were only 10 or 11, maybe 12 breweries in New Jersey.
Okay,
and,
well, open that thing and drink it.
And I just opened it. I poured it right there. There you go.
What do you got?
My Axe and Arrow glass.
Oh yes.
Right there. Let me take a sip of it. Hang on a second. Feel free to talk while I'm drinking.
No,
I'm hanging and waiting to hear.
Exactly. Very good. Very, very, wow. Really good. Super fruity.
Because I'm sitting here eyeing the cake, and this beer is not going to go with cake.
Yeah, I'm really fruit, like passion. I'm getting a lot of passion fruit. I'm getting a little citrus. I'm getting a lot of things in this.
There you go.
Really good. They're not cloyingly sweet. There you go.
Is that a Rice Krispie treat?
It is a Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie treat.
There you go.
Nice pairing with these, though.
Buc-ee's. I know Buc-ee's. Holy crap. I've got
the largest convenience store on the planet.
There you go.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on one second.
Oh, geez.
You got a fever, don't you?
While he goes and does that, I'll just continue. It's I'm getting a lot. It's really clean, though. Really crisp. It's very well brewed. I'm talking.
I don't even have one of those.
Those cookies. Oh, my God, those cookies.
Everything.
Those little butter cookies.
Nice. Well, to finish up, I was just going to say very, very well brewed. I mean, Great Notion. Clearly, they're brewing some of the better sours in the States. But it's very, very clean, super fruity. It's not cloying. It's really not overly sweet, but like the fruit notes are really there. It's a well brewed sour. It's nice, very tasty. I'm glad I have another one in the fridge. Let's put it that way. But in any event,
share time.
There you go. There you go. Well, something tells me there'll be more available. I don't think Kane just did that once to bring them in. I think they'll be around for a bit. So.
But, so you bought it here. Good.
I did. Yeah.
That's right. You have not gone to Oregon, have you?
I have not gone to Oregon. No.
You need to put that on the list.
It's on the list. Eventually, I'll get out there. But
we'll have Gene wants to do some sort of trip.
Oh yeah. So let's do a log room guys trip to Oregon this year.
Hey, keep me posted.
I think if we do one of those, we've got to invite every guest we've ever had on the show.
We have to do that. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sure you guys got a great budget. I mean, charter a plane.
There we go. Yeah, we got them in. Our budget is
through the roof. Yeah.
Hold on, let me see what we got here.
What do you got? What do you got in your wallet?
It's got that's
there
about
you go.
what I'm.
I spent my share
budget right there.
I spent my share of the budget the last 3 days in Pittsburgh. So.
Well, our budget
also doing better than I am.
And also, any budget we have goes to paying Brian.
This is true, and Matt.
We pay Matt. We pay Matt now.
We pay Matt now. Yeah, we do. So, in any event, all right. Well, now that our beers are open and we can drink, I'll just start with the first question I ask every guest. What's the first craft beer you can ever remember drinking?
First craft beer
that you can ever remember drinking.
You can use the term loosely.
I use the term loosely. It could be craft.
I'll start with two. The first beer I ever had was a Pearl beer from San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Which is no longer, it used to be a uniquely Texas beer a long time ago. And by the time I drank it, it was already owned by somebody else. But the first craft beer I drank was a Shiner Bock.
Of course.
Which is a pretty ubiquitous beer in Texas. Pretty well known. And I was the weird beer guy. I liked, I don't know, I'd never had anything like that. And I bought a 6-pack and was like, wow, that's different. And what I learned is that when I took this beer to parties, nobody else would drink it.
we John and I both know that game. You go to a party, bring a bunch of IPAs. Very few people at the parties touch it.
No.
And then past that, I kind of dove in a little more, and I finally found my way to there was a 6-packs of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale sitting on the shelf in this liquor store, and not cold, just like on the shelf, dry. And at room temperature, and I just kept seeing it, and I wondered why it was green, and that's actually why I bought it for the first time. Took it home, put it in the fridge, chilled it down, and man, it blew my mind when I cracked it open and drank it for the first time. So,
one of our top threes was top 3 beers that got you into craft beer, and I think we fought over Sierra Nevada, didn't we?
We did.
Yes. We did. Because
the craft beer, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely the West Coast. The West Coast started there.
Right.
East Coast started with Sam Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Boston Lager. We fought over Boston Lager too.
Mm-hmm.
I think
and Harpoon IPA.
And Harpoon IPA was another one that was one of the first IPAs that
Sure.
that was the first IPA I ever had.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if they still sell Harpoon in Texas. They did for some time, but they may have pulled back. Big fan of those too.
Yeah. And then I think Pete's Wicked was up there too. I think
Pete's Wicked was on there. Yep.
Yeah. There was some good beers.
Got a mention.
Anchor Steam got a mention. Yeah, absolutely. I think there was one other one because that would have been 6, right? But then again, when we do our top 3s, it's we usually say about 5 or 6
3-ish.
Yeah, you can't really narrow that down to 3.
Our honorable mentions, yeah.
There are a bunch of honorable mentions. There's 6 honorable mentions, and then we do our top 3.
I think the longest top 3 list we ever had is when we actually went top lagers.
Yeah. That was a difficult list. It couldn't really narrow it down and had to make mentions.
I think about 30, more than 30 were mentioned in that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I really do. I think there were. I'll have to go back and look, but I think there was definitely more than 20. Let's put it that way.
I heard you guys talking about Lone Star earlier. I was going to give you a hard time about that.
I haven't had Lone Star. Last time I had Lone Star was actually at there was a Texas themed steakhouse up here, not Lone Star Steak. No, it was Lone Star Steakhouse.
Lone Star Steakhouse, yeah.
Yeah, and they serve Lone Stars, so you had to drink Lone Star when you went to Lone Star.
Sure.
It's not a terribly. It was for a long time. It was only available in Texas, and it's not even owned by a Texan anymore.
No.
Pabst owns them now.
Well,
they brew it here in Fort Worth at the Miller Brewery, so it's owned by Pabst and it's brewed by Miller here in Texas.
Well, it's like the backwards of Narragansett. Narragansett, I think, is still owned by someone in Rhode Island, but I think it's brewed in Illinois, except Narragansett just opened a new brewery in Rhode Island in Providence. So
right. Well,
they're starting to brew it there again.
For the longest time,
do you guys know Lee Lord? I thought she was the new brewer up there, the head brewer. She's kind of a big name in brewing up there in the Northeast.
I do know that when they announced their brewer, I didn't mark the name, but they did remark that they're having another female head brewer in Rhode Island.
I want to say I saw a post about that, so I think it is her.
It could very well be. I was going to say Narragansett for a while was being brewed at Genesee. Genesee was
Pennsylvania, right?
No, in Rochester.
Rochester. That's right. They're in Rochester.
Genesee's in Rochester, yeah. But in New York. But I was going to say we talked about Iron City before. Iron City was a Pennsylvania brewing company, and they closed in I don't know 03, 02, 03, 04, somewhere in there. And it's been contracted by. They closed the brewery. They didn't close the company, right? They're still an entity, but they closed the brewery in Pittsburgh. But they've been contracting with a Wisconsin-based, I think it's City Brewing. I could be wrong. And they wound up buying the old Rolling Rock brewery in Latrobe, PA, when
the glass line tanks.
Yeah, exactly. When Budweiser bought Anheuser-Busch bought Rolling Rock. So they bought that brewery. So they've been brewing it in Pennsylvania, but now apparently Pennsylvania Brewing is wants to open up a new brewery. It's going to be a while, but they want to open up a new brewery, and they're going to take the brand back. So.
And by the way, Tony, you nailed it. Well, you can't see it here, but Lee Lord.
Lee Lord, there you go. So but I heard that they were actually going to be brewing in.
No, they are.
They're in Pawtucket.
No, it's Providence.
It's in Providence, huh?
It's in Providence.
I could have sworn they opened up when I was up there several years ago. They were opening a space in Pawtucket.
Yeah, and it was on the map. That never, I don't know if that ever came to be or closed down real quickly, but it's right along the river, right by the what's the name of that park? I forget the name of the park, but it's right near the park, just before the bridge goes over.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's with when Carrie and I were up there, we passed right by it, and I pointed out like, hey, look, they got the tanks going, they had seats out, so they were all set. It's up and running.
Beautiful.
So Nasty Gansett is back in Rhode Island.
Nasty Gansett. You can't crush any other beer like Quint except a Gansett lager.
Except for a Gansett.
You can't. Yep. You need a Gansett lager to crush it like Quint. So.
Yeah, and not the Dell stuff.
No.
They're doing the old Lone Star Brewery in San Antonio still exists. I mean, there's still a facility out there. It's huge. I think it's something like it's probably about 30 acres or more.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And I mean, at their peak, I think they were doing probably close to 2.5 million barrels a year.
Jeez.
Right there in San Antonio, pulling water.
And it wasn't leaving Texas.
Straight from an aquifer. Yeah, back then it was only in Texas.
Wow.
Stroh's bought them out in the early 90s and then ended up selling the brand off. But they still call it the National Beer of Texas, but I take offense to that. Like as a Texan, if the National Beer of Texas is a great advertising campaign, I get it.
That's a great campaign.
That's crazy.
But it's not even owned by a Texan, and in Texas, that's treason right there, buddy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is you say Stroh's bought them out in the early 90s. Stroh's really expanded like crazy back in the early 90s. They opened up that brewery in right outside Allentown, Pennsylvania. And right off of Route 78 now. It's huge. Yep. And it right now is a Sam Adams brewery.
Yep.
And literally probably 90% of the Sam Adams that anybody drinks, the standards of the Boston Lager and everything else comes from there. Like even if you're in Western Massachusetts, you're drinking a Sam Adams Boston Lager, it's coming from Pennsylvania. It's not coming from Boston.
Well, here's some interesting Texas beer history. The guy that was the assistant brewmaster at Lone Star when Stroh's bought him out, Grant Wood, went on. He moved on. He was the brewmaster at Sam Adams for many years.
That's why I know the name. Yeah.
And he when he retired from there for I think 16 or 17 years, retired from there, came back to Texas and helped some guys open up a brewery here called Revolver. Created a beer called Blood and Honey, American wheat ale that is the #1 selling craft beer in Texas right now. And so,
I thought it was Texas Blonde.
Texas. Who makes Texas Blonde?
I think it was
pretty
Texas
vague.
Blonde. I can't remember.
There's a lot of Texas Blondes.
I was going to say there's got to be a lot of Texas Blondes.
I know that Wildacre makes a beer called Texas Blonde.
No, that's not the one. Maybe I've got the name wrong.
You talking about Shiner Blonde?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I'll come up with it. There was
Okay.
I know Blood and Honey. I had that while I was there.
So Blood and Honey is a Grant Wood beer, but
Is it?
he started a Lone Star. Went to Sam Adams on his 50th birthday. I got to drink a bottle of Millennium with him that
Oh
he had
wow.
saved. Man, and it was that guy knows how to cellar the beer he made. So it was actually one of the more pleasant experiences. Some of those old Sam Adams bottles I've opened up have not been great. But, really, he's a hell of a treasure to have here in Texas. He's one of the most knowledgeable guys, and just as nice as anybody you could ever imagine.
That's good. That's good.
So.
Well, why don't you at this point tell us a little bit more about your
Well,
advising
so Alacran?
yeah.
Let's start
with Alacran.
So it kind of started as a joke. I spent a lot of time in West Texas, obviously, far West Texas even. West Texas is considered kind of Amarillo to Lubbock, even all the way far up north in the Panhandle. That's still that's Panhandle, but then everything south of there is West Texas. And if you go out a little further south, where the Big Bend is, do you know where the Big Bend is?
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows what Texas looks like, and you got the
Yep.
That's the Big Bend. If you draw a line across the top of that, and that's out there is far West Texas.
So yeah,
Texas
north of Laredo.
So big, we have West and Far West.
And Far West.
West and Far West. That's great.
And Far West. So I spent a lot of time on both sides of the river down there, both in Texas and in Chihuahua and Coahuila, Mexico. And I've got some great friends, some buddies of mine that they opened up the first craft beer bar in El Paso about 10 years ago, and a place called the Hoppy Monk. And we've been friends for a long time.
There you go.
Like that name.
And after a day of bar hopping in Juarez, Mexico, we went. We were actually bar hopping to do some research for bar snacks for the bar that they run. So each bar we'd go to, we'd try another beer, another type of shot. It was this is an all day affair, and ate things all along the way, different kinds of some incredible stuff. By the end of the night, I ate octopus for the first time in Juarez.
Really?
I love octopus.
But we get
Juarez
back
octopus.
Is
it fresh from Juarez?
No. There's they're not far from the Sea of Cortez, so it's not too big of a stretch.
That's true. All right.
So we get back, and he says, they call me alacran, and it's a word in Spanish that I didn't know. I know quite a bit, but I said, why do you guys keep calling me that and laughing every time you say it? And he says, well, he's like, you're like the scorpion. And I go, how's that? Surely there's a guy in Chihuahua that's the scorpion. There's got to be an alacran already. But he says, you live in the desert, and you seem like you're everywhere, but you could be really hard to find. You're not really brown, but you're definitely not very white. You're kind of somewhere in the middle. You kind of and then you only seem like you attack when you're provoked. Alacran.
That is a great explanation.
No, it was. I was honored, really. And,
exactly.
So when I went home, I got this tattoo.
There you go.
Sent him a picture, and it kind of took off. It was kind of tongue in cheek, but really it was heartfelt. And so now, when I go down there, they began introducing me as people would ask my name, and they said Alacran, and they're like Alacran. Oh, they loved it, So it's become kind of its own thing down there. So
nice. You gotta love it.
I got a chance to choose, so I went with that instead.
Yeah. Gotta love when
Johnny.
Gotta love when the nickname takes on a life of its own, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, my nickname comes from other than the fact that I'm in New Jersey, I collect too many jerseys. Let's put it that way, sports wise. Football, baseball.
Double entendre.
Yeah, too many. So, I got a closet full of them. So, but in any event, so it has a little double entendre there. But if we do a sports podcast on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday I'm wearing a different sports jersey.
He says we. It's not me.
It's not Dave. No.
I know very little about sports.
It's myself, Radio Pete, and Harry Lugnuts. Those are the two.
Harry Lugnuts was the singer in the song that opens the show up.
Yeah,
he wrote the song, sings the song.
Exactly.
Yeah, I may have as many Pearl Snap shirts as you have jerseys.
There you go. Right. Yeah, Harry Lugnuts is in a band. He's in Denver, and he's in a band from Denver called Log, and he's the bass player and lead singer. And that was him in the intro. So, anyway, so So talk a little bit about your what was it that you were doing? You said, and you were your advising
philosophical.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the beer philosophy.
Beer philosophy. There we go.
You know, I've taught beer classes. I've done server and bartender training, and I've taken a lot of these classes. Did a lot of research on my own, and gone through the BJCP program, and just several things along the way. And some of that stuff is a lot of it was kind of unapproachable to people who were just actually sitting at the bar drinking the beer. They have a lot of questions, so I came up with a thing, and we used to call it the guy that owned the bar that I did this. The first one was called Brewjucation, and I never liked that because I wasn't teaching people how to brew beer, or there was an element of it, but I was trying to make it interesting in a way for if I can get you hooked, then you might want to figure out later on how beer is brewed and get into the more technical aspects. But I was trying to create something a little more user friendly, and so Brewjucation. That was I did that for a couple of years. And then this new thing is, this is several years later, a new venue opened up here in Fort Worth, and got to know these guys pretty well. It's a music venue, but it's a space where there's a lot of room to do different kinds of programming. And so I do a weekly thing called Beeritualy. One of the regulars actually named it. I told him I wanted anything but Brewjucation.
Yeah, yeah.
And Beeritualy worked. I liked it, but what it really is a I'm not teaching anything. I mean, I probably learned something, but I just kind of lead a discussion. I bring in beers from different places that I travel around Texas, and introduce people to beers from different regions, and often have guests from the breweries. But the discussion is really more about why the hell we're drinking beer. I mean, most people don't even think about why they drink it.
Right.
Or how important it is. And the underlying theme of the whole thing is that there is beer and there's the business of beer. And those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
They coexist in a lot of ways, but they are each independent of themselves. And the more you can understand about the business of beer, you kind of, I talk more about beer, but I want people to understand the business of beer because that's the world we live in.
Right.
So then answer that question. Why do we drink beer?
Because the first human being that accidentally discovered some fermented barley took a couple of bites and felt a certain way. And we were probably not a very social people at the time, but we know it was good because they told somebody else. They're like, hey,
and they told two friends, and they told two friends.
And so on, and so on.
And ever since, no matter what has happened anywhere in the world, like almost every society that's existed since has made some form of a fermented, barley. It's a great way to store grains. It's great.
More grain, yeah.
Get
Like
nutrition,
Saki's
clean water,
right?
all the things that beer has done for us. No matter how hard anybody's tried to stop it, it's still here.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things I heard, and I love this, they talk about wine being so civilized and sophisticated, but they said beer is the more civilized drink because to make beer, you have to have civilization. Wine can be made by hunter-gatherers. Right. For beer, you have to settle down. You've got to cultivate. You've got to grow the grains.
And, arguably that's what sparked the agricultural revolution in the first place, that they realized that, hey, if we just started planting this, like once they drop some things on the ground, they start growing like, oh, you mean we could just do this here and not have to walk around all the time? Like,
well, think about it. When the Pilgrims landed, one of the first things they wanted to do was brew beer, and they looked around and went, wait a second, we're completely out of barley because we've been making bread the whole time on the ship. What are we going to do? And that's why we have pumpkin beer.
Well, I've also heard that the Pilgrims landed where they did because they ran out of beer.
Yes, that's also the case, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And also that they made the hops don't grow in the Northeast, so they actually used acorns to get to balance out the
bitter it a little bit.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And the funny thing is when they were able to bring in their first crop of barley or wheat, the first thing they did is stop brewing with pumpkins.
There you go.
Right.
And then for some reason we started again, but it is what it is. Wait a second. It's July. Why aren't the pumpkin beers out yet?
Yeah, exactly. They're coming out soon. They came
out last month. They're already out.
They're out of them already. Yeah. Well, our beer whisperer, one of our self-proclaimed Alec Baldwin of the Lager Room Guys podcast, he commented in just now. He says that's beerific, and he says I know exactly why I'm drinking beer.
Oh, and why exactly are you drinking beer?
Why, Tom? Let us know why exactly are you drinking beer? Please tell us. and we will let
But
everybody
again,
else
that's
know.
another one of those questions that it's not about getting the answer. It's about searching for it.
Yes.
Why do we
absolutely.
still drink beer? And I think that's just something. I mean, there's a podcast about it right now that we're on. It's got a life of its own that exists completely outside of the reasons that we do it. And I think often that's something that we don't think. Hey, why is it that we actually sit around and do this? All of us, not just us three or the people we're sitting at the table with, but all of us. I mean, how has this continued and persevered for so long?
Just remember, the answer is 42.
Correct.
whatever it is. What was that in? What was that movie? City Slickers. Was it Jack Palance?
Mm-hmm.
Was the one guy he says, "This is the key to life."
Yep.
And he says, "What is that? You have to figure it out."
Yep. Same thing with 42. The same thing as why we drink beer.
No, he said, "This is the key to life," and Billy Crystal goes, "Your finger."
Your
Says, no, this one thing you have to figure it out. Yeah. So, but 42. All right, that's good. That's good. So, so Jackie Robinson was the key to life.
Of course.
Sure, why not?
Well, when I turned 40, I had kind of
Last year.
No, it's been a couple of years now. Thanks a lot. As I approached 40, like anyone, I was like, oh man, I'm turning 40. 40 turned out to be one of the greatest birthday parties I've ever had, and one of the greatest years I'd had up to that point. Maybe even the greatest.
John barely remembers my 40th.
And it wasn't until
barely
41 that it all kind of set in. I was like, oh shit, now I'm 41.
You know what?
But 42 was, that's where everything, I don't know, set off on a new path. I've been enjoying life in a different way ever since. So.
Beautiful.
It was the meaning of life so far.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I barely remember your 40th. Your 50th was fun.
Yes. Oh, that's right. It was the 50th. We're talking about my 50th.
Yeah.
I was trying to shave 10 years off of it. Come here, break here.
So, but in any event, I'm in my 30s now, so don't worry about this, Craig. It's just nothing to see here. Nothing.
I will attest to the fact that he is younger. Tony has pulled out another beer.
Tony's pulled out another beer. Tony, what's your other beer you're drinking right now?
Mini Boss. So we've got Boss Pup and Mini Boss. Nice.
There you go.
So he's the boss you got to face before you get to the big boss.
And this is
you start with the Mini Boss.
All your hop are belong to us. That's what
all your harp are belong to us.
All your harp are belong to us.
All your hop are
all
belong
your
to
hop
us.
are belong
reference to an old video game.
Yes.
Okay.
I picked this one up fresh at the brewery this morning as well. I stopped by Eureka Heights on the way out. They also gave me some samples of stuff to bring up for Beerology. And this one was right off the line.
Nice.
So actually I did, it was 8:30 this morning and he's like, well, do you want a beer while you're here? And I'm like, yeah.
I do have to ask. I mean, seriously.
Beer's good for breakfast. If you only have one. So I drank one beer and then I ate some breakfast and then I drove back from Houston.
Right. There you go. That always works.
Well, there's that old quaint saying, you can't claim to have drank all day unless you start in the morning.
Unless you start in the morning, exactly.
Or you could tell everything. You could tell everything about a great beer with just one sip, but it's best to be sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like that one. That's good.
Yeah.
You can tell everything about a beer by just one sip, but it's best to be sure. I like that.
It's an old. That's me bastardizing an old Czech proverb. I did not come up with that.
Hey, you know what? Well, you bastardized it, right? So you technically did come up with it,
right?
So there you go.
Well, but then again, one of the most famous bastardized quotes, misquoted quotes, is, God loves us and wants to be happy. That God is proof. A beer is proof that God loves us and wants to be happy. Because the
Franklin,
original,
right?
Ben Franklin, but it was originally, he said it about wine, actually, not about beer.
Heard that too.
Yeah, but even though he was a brewer.
Sure.
So,
and my guess is he used corn. Just guessing. But
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe he did. I believe some of those recipes, they were uncovered or whatever, and there was corn in them.
We'll have to talk to the people at Yards.
Exactly. Because they know most of those.
They own the recipes now, right?
Exactly. I believe so. You know what Ben Franklin did, right? You know what he started? Besides
electricity?
beer.
He invented electricity.
He invented electricity.
I remember that.
There you go.
You were there?
He started the first volunteer fire department ever.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
First post office in the U.S., first fire department.
First fire department.
First fire department.
Hey, when I was a kid, I was 4 years old. I was electrocuted, and firefighters brought me back to life, man. So
There you go.
thanks, Ben.
See,
There you go.
Johnny's a firefighter. Was a firefighter. I was a firefighter much longer ago.
I haven't been active for 10-ish years right now, but I've been doing it for 35 some odd years. So my father, ironically, my father is still active. He's in his 55th year, so he's not as active as you would think he would be at this point, but technically still active, so to speak. Though. But.
Trying to get in on some wildland firefighter training for life when I'm out in the desert.
There you go. I will say one thing really quick about the Pittsburgh trip, and I do have to say this. Whenever I'm in a city, I try to stop by a firehouse or two or whatever and pick up T-shirts. So some of the city firehouses, they do stock T-shirts there. You can buy them. It's a fundraiser for them kind of thing. And I bring them home. Obviously wear them with like beer shirts or whatever. I got fire department T-shirts. A couple of the firehouses I stop in at Boston all the time. The guys are great. We talk for a little bit. I'm on my way. That kind of thing. Chicago, same thing. Guys at the Pittsburgh Bureau Fire Engine and Truck 6 stopped at on Sunday and got a T-shirt from them. These guys were so great. I kept talking to them. If I didn't walk away, I'd still be there talking to them right now.
So now, Beeritual Advisor, is that just an extension of the beer philosophy class?
In a way, I think a culmination of the last. I've been working in and around craft beer for about 15 years now, in some kind of capacity. I began as a plumber. A master plumber is what I was in a former life.
Gotcha.
And that's how I ended up working in the brewery business. But the Beeritual Advisor thing is kind of come from, I do a lot of different things. I do photography and I play music, and those are kind of my professions. And so I don't do a lot of actual beer work, but I can still be like, I don't want to be your employee, and I don't want you to hire me as a consultant necessarily, because I travel around a lot. But if I can come in every once in a while and advise you on your beer, because I help build some beer programs here in Fort Worth and around, I've had a hand in a lot of that stuff.
Right.
I'm just I take the wisdom I've learned from all my experience and my travels around, and I bring it into a certain place. So this place in Fort Worth, it's called Tulips, a new music venue that opened up during, it opened up right before Thanksgiving of last year. They had to do a lot of things, shuffle a lot of things around to start, easing back into doing live music, but a really cool venue with a lot of big picture vision. And the beer program was part of it, and the owner and his partner are good friends of mine. So they brought me in to do some beer programming and kind of dial in the beer program. So they wanted me to come up with a title, and I thought, well, I've been a lot of stupid things. I've been the captain of fun, even at one place. I have a business card that says Captain of Fun. I used to drive a bus called the Beer Liner to Denver every year for the Great American Beer Fest.
Nice.
Oh, so I was the captain of this bus, and the captain of fun. I don't know. I didn't come up with that one. But I got to choose this one, and it hit me one day when I was driving up there. I thought, man, how have I never thought about this before? Beeritual Advisor. So, but in some ways, it is a spiritual guidance counselor kind of role. But it's not just what beers are you going to be able to sell, but why? I mean, if you want to build a beer program, you got to put some thought behind it. You have to be invested in it, or what's the point of buying a bunch of expensive kegs that you have to keep an eye on?
Right.
And if you don't know a lot about beer, they're very cocktail forward. So they that's great craft cocktail program. I was like, well, if your beer program, if that's great and your beer program sucks, you're kind of missing the mark.
Yep.
I mean, you should keep everything excellent. So instead of, getting a new job or having to hire a full-time employee on their end, I'll just be your Beeritual Advisor, and I'll help you through it.
And I love that term. And I love, good plays on words like that. As Beer Samurai had come up with the philosophy, back to philosophy, of Bushido. Right? And the number one tenet, and John knows the number one tenet of Bushido, is drink what you like, let others drink what they like, don't be a douche.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's hard seltzers.
Unless it's hard seltzers. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I tend to get a little douchey on hard seltzers. I've actually got a hard seltzer from Smug Brewing in my fridge right now. So
I actually have
straight
a
up
mixed 12-pack of hard seltzer from these guys from Eureka Heights.
You know what? It's become a thing, and
you will be assimilated. There is no, there's no
exactly.
Theirs is actually called Fizzy Pants, and it comes in a and the 12-pack.
Like that.
It's not a party pack or a mixed pack. It's called a Rad Pack. These guys have great branding. Everything that comes out of that brewery.
That's really awesome.
That's great. That is great. Yeah, but there have been, if you notice, though, we've talked about it a couple times on the show, there have been a bunch of smoothies now.
God,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of those.
Smoothie hard seltzers.
So when I was
just sugar in a glass with a little water and carbonation in is really, and throw some alcohol in there and you're good to go.
When I was in DFW, I actually came back with what was it? And it's just like I was appalled, but it was pretty good. What was that thing? It was a milkshake goes, a pastry goes.
Milkshake goes, yeah.
A pastry goes.
Oh, from Tups.
Yes,
it was.
Yes,
it was actually pretty damn good. I got that at Rick's shop. You know Rick? I'm sure you know Rick Ali.
Oh yeah, no, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, got that at Taps and Caps.
Say you did it. You did it this time.
I
you did it
before.
He didn't make you shotgun that beer before you left.
No.
No, because he promised him, because he was on a show a couple of weeks ago. So a few weeks ago, so he was going to have it on the show. So he made him.
Yeah.
So was he the other Texan you were referring to?
No. Steve Nankara was the other one.
Oh yeah. Obviously, the guy.
But Rick. No, I think Rick didn't make me shotgun because I knew I was driving, had to catch a plane. I was already 3 flights in.
Okay, there you go.
So he's a responsible guy.
There you go.
I did get pulled over on the way to the airport, by the way.
Did you?
Well, then it's probably a good thing you didn't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good thing. Speeding down the service road on the way into DFW.
And we all know how small an airport DFW is too.
Oh yeah, it's
very tiny, ridiculous. Compact, little jet port.
Oh my God, it's like that service road is about 87 miles long or something like that.
The first time I went to the Austin airport, which was it's been several years now, because I grew up here in Fort Worth, and that airport was pretty much the only one I knew, and I always hated it. But the first time I went to the Austin airport, I was like, holy shit, man, like this is so easy. Like you just pull in and I was out of there in 10 minutes. Like, wow. Like I had to take somebody to the airport, and I was thinking it was going to be a big deal. And they were like, no, like just go, man. And so I pull up and I literally drop them off the front door and drive away. I'm like, who knew?
Right. I was on
DFW, something else.
I was on my way to San Francisco, and I had a change flights in DFW, and I had 1 hour, and it was on opposite sides of the airport.
Oof. That's not good.
I was sweating. I was running. I actually hopped. I was running down the people movers. And whatchamacallit. And I actually hopped a car too. And begged them, please just take me, go, And I got there literally, maybe I had a minute to spare before they were shutting the doors.
That's honestly the best time to walk onto a plane.
Yeah.
Right before they take off.
Right.
Everyone's looking at you like, we've been waiting for you.
For you, yeah, thanks.
And you look at all them like, you a bunch of suckers.
Could have been worse.
Everybody can't do that, but it's cool to be the person that does.
Right? Yeah,
they can hate you all they want, but you don't have to sit there and wait for it.
Anyway,
he's into his second beer.
Yeah, open your second beer. Come on.
My second beer is going to take a little while because I have.
All right, so I'll do mine first.
Do yours first because mine's going to take a little bit. I'm going to have a little fun with mine.
He's going to have a little fun with his second beer. My second beer is Another Great Notion. There we go.
Augie.
There you go.
Is that like one of the cryptoids or something like that? That they have there, like a sea monster that's over.
It's like a sea monster around the city. If you see it right there, see?
Yeah.
So.
But is that something that actually exists there? I mean, it exists.
I hope not. If it is, I'm not going there. Or maybe I will. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows?
But let me pour this in here. This is as you can tell, it's a New England IPA. I won't say NEPA. It's a New England IPA.
You just did.
I just said I won't say it.
I feel bad that I didn't bring a glass in here with me. I'm just drinking out of the can, man.
There's so many beers I just drink out of the can anymore.
That's quite all right. So let me take the cursory.
For the most part,
shot.
we drink out of glassware just to show off our glassware. We bought all this stuff. You might as well hey, look what I'm drinking out of. Be jealous of us.
Exactly.
I have a lot of these stainless steel. Like I spent a lot of time out in the outdoors, backcountry stuff. So you take stainless steel pints and those canned glasses. Have
like
you
those
seen
Yeti things? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some work. I actually wrote the beer list for Yeti. Opened a flagship store in Austin on Congress Avenue, and they put a bar in it. And so I wrote the original beer list for that thing, and it was interesting. It was one of the hardest beer lists I've ever written because they wanted to originally every quarter they wanted to change up the beer list to highlight different regions where they had a pretty good foothold. And so I had to pick beers from. I had to do like a whole quarter for the Northeast, and which beers from the East Coast that were available in Texas, and then what during that season, and let them know the distributor for each, and. The other one was some West Coast, and then there was they want to do Texas things. I mean, I did a lot of research for that thing, and then I was actually working for a brewery at the time, and about a couple weeks later, for an entire week, every day a giant box showed up from Yeti, and I'd open it up, and it was a cooler, and then another cooler, and like hats and Colster, and all these things, and these guys are like, man, it must be nice to get all this stuff for free. And I'm like, man, this ain't free, dude.
You work for it.
Yeah, I had to work for this, and like Yeti coolers don't pay the bills. I mean, it's nice to have this stuff. I'll tell you.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I got to write up my my electric bill. Hold on, here, have a Yeti cooler.
Which you might be able to work that out. That stuff's
well, that's true though. That depending on who is actually taking the billing, they might actually work that out. So.
But these things right here, these are stainless steel cans.
Oh yeah,
nice.
So, you can't really see the beer, but unless you're drinking them,
that works. Here's my. Of course, I got the Source Brewing glass going.
Source glass out.
The Source IPA glass, and thanks very much to New Jersey Beer Guy for this particular can, Augie. It's my daughter's boyfriend, but.
Is that who that is? Because he.
NJ Beer Guy, who's liking stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he fronted me on Untapped. I didn't know who the hell it was.
That's Corey. Yeah.
Okay. So, now I know who it is.
There you go. So cheers.
Cheers.
So why don't you while I'm drinking this, why don't you tell us what your other beer is?
Well, back in May we had Joe Granite on, and Joe Granite's boss. Why is his name escaping me?
Kyle Park.
Kyle Park. Kyle is the one of the head brewers and owners of the Chamonix Creek, and Joe's one of the sales guys. And for the show, I wanted this beer. And Joe had told me and promised me that it was down the street from me, and it wasn't.
Damn him.
Damn you, Joe. So it was there today, so I picked it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drink it out of my taster glasses.
Whoa. What? Put that back. You said there was something written on there. What does that say?
Hi, Joe, you filthy animal.
There you go. All right.
We got to bring in the Home Alone quote. Interestingly enough, the Home Alone quote was supposed to be based off of an older movie called Angels with Filthy Faces.
Angels with Filthy Faces, right.
It's completely fictional, made up for the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Completely mixed. So I'm going to actually pour this into some tasters. And the reason I'm going to do this is because when we've got a Facebook group that we talk about beer on. Which is called the Dippa Gang. I quote lovingly. I nicknamed it the Dipshits because we're a bunch of dipshits.
It works.
Yeah, it works for us. And so there's some suggestions as to how to drink this beer. Joe said to shotgun it, so we're going to take one of those and.
There you go. It's just shotgun 4 ounces for you, Joe.
So we just shotgun 4 ounces. Ooh, manly. But ooh.
See what you should have done? No. Seriously, what you should have done was you should have poked a hole in the side of the taster.
Have you guys even seen my TikTok channel?
I have not. No.
Oh my god!
I think I'm going to after the podcast is done.
So now the other thing, and this brings back to mind Rick Ali, because he had brought up while I was there this thing. I don't know if it's just Houston. I don't know. I don't know if it's just DFW. I don't know if it's made it to Houston or other parts of Texas. But beer with yogurt.
That sounds gross.
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
So,
I'm not gonna name this brewery, but there's a brewery in the greater North Texas area that makes a lot of weird beers with a lot of very strange ingredients. And I'm not talking about Martin House. Martin House is somebody I would tell you. There is a brewery here in Fort Worth that made a beer with squid ink and menthol, a 16% golden ale.
Oh, wow.
A 16% golden ale with squid ink and menthol.
It's called Azathoth.
Azathoth. That's for a Lovecraft fan, that's a fantastic name.
Hey, they have this one of the most interesting breweries in Texas for sure, Martin House. That's not the ones I'm talking about. There's another brewery outside just in the greater area that makes some smoothies, and it's got to be these guys.
That's got to be those guys, and I think that's who Ali was talking about. So, but what I'm going to do, because they said put some whipped cream on it, but I don't have any whipped cream, but I do have yogurt. So I'm going to actually put some yogurt in here. This is some sure yogurt, and we're going to drink this. Between the cake,
you should get is the bucket ready next to you? Is the bucket ready next to you?
Yeah, this looks like one of those cement mixer shots.
Pinky out and everything. Look at that. You got some yogurt on your lip.
Yep, you got some on your lip there. Other side.
Got yogurt.
Yeah, got yogurt. Yeah.
All right, so that's one way to do it.
How was it? Oh no! You're not escaping that. How was it?
That was pretty
shitty.
The first taste wasn't too bad because it's cherry Greek yogurt.
Right.
But then the aftertaste kicked in. It's like it's not yakable, but still not enjoyable.
Right.
I'll say that.
It's not a great pairing.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
So for the third one, what I'm going to do, and this was not mentioned on the site, I'm going to throw some Reaper hot sauce in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right, and this is newly opened. I've not tried this before. So between the cake, the yogurt, and the beer, some Carolina Reaper hot sauce.
Now you need the bucket next to you.
It's not.
How much How much Carolina Reaper hot sauce are you putting in this thing?
That's a lot.
This is the third. That's the third dollop right there.
It looked like about 12.
I don't have a spoon, so I'm going to do it with the scissors. Stir that up.
Oh, there you go.
I like your style, man.
There's nothing there's no microbes that could friggin' live in this.
Any port in a storm.
Oh man, look at the color of this thing.
Look
Look
at that.
See how that's
Joe,
floating around in there.
Joe, Kyle, you have to make a beer. You have to make the
Reaper,
the
shape
Reaper
of haze to come.
The tropical Reaper shape of haze to come. There you go. How is that?
Oh, there's still some left in the bottom.
There you go. How was that?
That's awful. All right, so I got it.
You got it all out. You got it all out. But you're a trooper, though. You put a little more beer in there just to get the rest of it out. That was good.
Yeah, that's actually not bad, that stuff.
So,
I'm going to have to use it as it was intended.
So basically, the Reaper hot sauce was delicious, but not so much in the beer.
Not so much in the beer.
All right, gotcha.
So I don't know if I'm going to use the fourth taster to actually wash all that out.
I think you should. I think you should just sip on the fourth taster while
or should I add some cinnamon to it?
Nah, just go.
No.
Enjoy it. You've been through a lot.
Yeah, keep that.
We're good now.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, this is not something we do regularly on the show.
No.
Really,
this is the first.
This is the first. This is
we
just
got a comment. Who's commenting?
I love experimenting with beer. I mean, I would try the yogurt beer, but like
you should.
Kerry
said stir it.
I did stir it. Well, I swirled it.
Swirled it, stir it, whatever.
Ooh, man,
there you go.
That's gonna have me lit up for a little bit.
I brought a couple of. I got a couple of cool Texas things that you guys want to talk about some Texas beer.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I got a couple of wacky things that.
It's why you're here.
Yeah. So one, I was just talking about Martin House. That made me think of that. Did you guys hear about Austin Beer Works did several years ago did a 99 pack of beer?
Yes.
Okay, and then Pabst stole the idea.
And
then Austin Beer Works called them out, and Pabst agreed to donate $9,999 to a local Austin charity because they got caught. And it's pretty cool. They worked it all out. But Austin Beer Works invented the 99 pack of beer, 7 feet long, 83 pounds. One of the greatest, not just one of the greatest beer packaging things. In my opinion, that's one of the coolest things anybody's come out with. It's stupid, of course, but
right, of course.
But interesting nonetheless. And the news of that made the rounds around the world. I mean, they were talking about that in Germany and Japan, and Larry the Cable Guy a year later started talking about it again. Get her done. So and just like not only that, but it's one of the most interesting. I got to meet the crew that made the box, that actually designed the box for him. man, these guys were so excited to get a job like this. Like, dude, we're designing a Naya. Do you know how interesting this is compared to what we always do? You know, it's terrible. So anyway, Martin House came out with a thing, and this is a cereal box, right? Marty's Munchies. Yep. This is a 6-pack of beer made with cereal
in a cereal box.
That is awesome. And you have games on the back.
That's great.
It's got here. Let's see.
There you go.
Oh, that is so cool.
One free.
Tall boy
one free tall boy or
pit.
You get a
pit or pint?
Pint.
So
anyway, you open this thing up and kind of fun. They spent a lot of time and effort on this, and it's. I'm really proud of the boys. So here's the toy, right the top little glider.
I love those things.
There you go.
That's Cocoa.
So how's it? Put it back in. Put it back in and look and show the top of it. It's how is it packed? Is it 3? It's 3 wide. All right. Yeah. So if it's 3 wide, then two
we've
high.
Got this one here.
That was hard to see.
Let's see.
It's like golden grahams,
treats,
right?
Like Rice Krispie treats.
This was the marshmallow clusters.
Oh yeah, Rice Krispie treats. There you go.
And then Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. There you go.
We've got a brewery out here that does the Fruit Loop beer.
Oh yeah. So is there 2 of each of them in there? Is that what it is?
Two of each in this thing, and it was I didn't even know that they had. I'd just come back into town. I'd been out in the far west Texas for a while.
There you go.
I come back in to say hi to these guys, and they're like, "Hey, are you here for the Marty's Munchies cereal box?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about, man?" He's like, "We got a 6-pack in the cereal box. You got to see this thing." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So that was about I think it was $30 for the 6-pack. $32, you know, pretty good. And they're all they make a lot of sour beers, so that's actually a sour base. But they do a lot of fruited sours and lactose and things like that. So it's a pretty wild and no surprise. I mean, these guys make the menthol squid ink beer. They made a buffalo wing sour beer.
Buffalo wing sour beer.
And a companion ranch dressing beer.
Oh jeez.
And then there was also the pizza beer, which is a sour beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so these guys get a lot of shit, obviously. You know, like you either love this stuff or you hate it.
Right.
But every beer that they set out to do, they nail it. It is exactly what they say it's going to be. And it is. Maybe you won't drink a 6-pack of it, but it's a good beer. You're like, they're not putting out trash.
Right.
They're just putting things in beers that, purists are like, oh, that's not beer. Like, but it is beer. Right. And I really like the subtext of all this. I think that these guys know, and every time they release one of these things, they got a line around the block. So they're selling every drop of all these weird beers they make.
That's awesome.
We've got a brewery in Jersey that's kind of similar, maybe not as wild, but don't give them any ideas. They've done a.
If they watch this particular episode, they're going to take a couple of those ideas.
There was
I guarantee it.
No, he doesn't like doing anything anyone's done before. So, but maybe get some ideas from.
He
did a
white of his own ideas from them. Yeah.
He did a white truffle ale. So he called it a truffle ale because it was a Belgian
I wasn't
triple.
talking about him. I was talking about somebody further north. But
oh, no. That's the Lactose Boys. But
that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah, no, not them. But he did a white truffle ale. It was a Belgian triple with white truffles in it. That was fantastic. Mm-hmm. He did a Panzania beer, and he nailed it. Mm-hmm. And when people kept pushing him to do another pumpkin ale, he did something called Rav. And what he did was I can't remember the name of the Italian dish, but it's the pumpkin ravioli with the biscotti and the beurre blanc over it.
Oh, wow.
And he nailed it.
His first pumpkin beer he did, he hates pumpkin pie, period. So, period. Forget about beer. He just hates pumpkin pie. So the first pumpkin beer he did, it was actually one of the first beers he ever did. They opened in August. In September, he brewed a small 3-barrel, not even 3-barrel, might have been a 1-barrel batch.
Yeah, it was like the 3rd or 4th beer he brewed, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was, he called it, what did he call it? Oh, look at me.
Scobyville.
No, not a Scobyville. It was
Scobyville was later.
He took this beer and he pumpkin cream.
It was just called Imperial Pumpkin Cream.
Pumpkin cream.
It was based off a cream ale base.
It was it was a cream ale base. So it was like a pumpkin soup beer, right? So he took a cream ale base and he put pumpkin meat, pink peppercorns, orange oil, and ginger. That was the beer, and it was 12%. So it was an Imperial cream ale, and it was delicious.
He loves his Imperial cream ales.
He did so, but yeah. So and then he took that like the next year and he aged it in apple brandy barrels and called it Scobyville. So that was that. But Rav was the second coming of a pumpkin beer for him. But he does a lot of, and we won't mention his name because on the show, if you mention his name 3 times, like Beetlejuice, if you mention his name 3 times, he pops up on the show
and takes the show.
I think you guys have already said his name 3 times.
Well, we haven't said his name at all.
No, we haven't said it at all. He's been mentioned, but you can't say his name. We'll mention the brewery because. Right. Well, actually, let's not. We mention the brewery every.
We mention the brewery every show.
So we're not even going to mention the brewery.
Anybody watching it that knows who we're talking about, they knew who we're talking about. So
all right. Well, here's something else cool, and I bet you, I can almost guarantee you, nobody, you may not have seen this in the modern day. This is, I'm pretty excited about this. I've looked around, and I haven't found any. They actually had to get the canning manufacturer to make this thing happen. Okay. This beer is called Pre-War Pils from Live Oak Brewing. If you're ever in Austin. These guys make a Czech Pils, P-I-L-Z, and it's Austin's original Pilsner.
Okay.
And one of the best breweries in Texas, in my opinion. But they did a special run of these.
Oh wow!
With it comes with a church key, so you got to pop it open.
The church key.
Yeah.
The way you used to open a can of beer.
Yeah.
Yep,
80 years ago.
Amazing.
I can't remember. I couldn't find a reference to anyone else. They actually worked with Ball. I think it was Ball to get these lids made, and it's actually less aluminum than it takes to make the other ones. I think the regular can top.
The key on top, right?
And I couldn't believe that they weren't just. I would have just kept running with that. I love this. I had so much fun with a couple of cases of the stuff I bought, and they ordered church keys with their brewery logo on them and had to buy 10,000 of these things to get them custom made.
Sure.
And wait for them forever, but a lot of fun.
Austin, that leads to the comment we got up there, John.
Yeah, let's throw that up there. Brenda Gustin said, "Keep Austin weird." Keep it Austin weird.
Yeah, right.
Brenda, I used to work with Brenda back in the day. She is she's a Jersey expat who's now out in Texas.
All right.
So thanks for tuning in, Brenda.
Well, I always joke that if Austin was really weird, they wouldn't have to tell you that they had to keep it that way. If they're truly weird, you don't have to tell anybody. It's like, hey, we're the greatest city on earth. Well, if you were, you wouldn't have to say that.
You wouldn't have to say a word, exactly.
Yeah, Florida doesn't tell everybody that they're the weirdest state in the union.
We just all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Shreveport, Louisiana. There was literally a sign. I was there a couple weeks ago. Literally a sign up in town. It says Shreveport, the greatest city on earth. I was like, man. Are you serious? So. You paid for this? This is the greatest. I mean, it's not even the greatest city in the Tri-County area.
Oh, I wish I had this.
Well, it's like, and I don't mean anything bad about Shreveport by this, but that would be like saying Shreveport, the greatest city in Shreveport.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Yeah, you make a good point.
There you go.
Oh, I hear
the dogs barking.
Yeah,
dogs barking.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of doggies you got there?
I have my dog is an old lady lab mix. Her name's Lazy Daisy. She goes on just about every adventure I go on. She goes with me.
Nice.
And then here at the house here in Fort Worth, we've got my buddy that owns the place. He's got 3 other dogs. So we've got a nice little pack here. It's a lifestyle for sure.
It's not a 6-pack, but
right.
But, Dave throwing a reference to a brewery in Rhode Island.
We definitely don't need 2 more. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's a brewery in Rhode Island called 6-Pack, and everyone's like, "But you sell your beers in 4-packs." But he's got 6 dogs.
6-pack,
and he's got 6 base beers, and those 6 base beers are all named after his dogs.
Exactly.
And they all come in a 4-pack.
They all come in.
They all come in 4-packs.
Hey, I love that.
We're crowlers. Yeah.
Awesome.
There you go. But all right. Hey, should we do our top 3s?
Let's do our top 3s. Our top 3s today were brought to you by Alacran.
Alacran came up with the top 3 list for today, and I will throw that up here. It is top 3 unconventional craft beer destinations.
So we're gonna let Johnny go last because he struggled a little bit with this one.
You know what? I went in 3 or 4 different directions of where I could go for this. So I'm going to let you guys go first and zero it in, and then I will be able to zero mine in from yours. So there you go.
So it's up to you, Tony. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
Why don't you go first? I'll go in the middle, and then we'll let him round it out.
There you go.
All right. One of the first things that came to mind has absolutely slipped my mind now. But I will mention something before I get to
It must have been the hot sauce.
Hey,
it must
are
be
we
that.
each giving 3, or are we
We're
each
each
giving
giving
1?
3, yeah.
We're each giving 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're each
Cool.
giving 3. So the first thing that came to my mind, actually, I found out didn't actually exist. It only existed in my mind. So I had to.
Oh, well,
readjust a
no!
little.
You can't do that. You got to give it to us anyway.
For some reason, I thought there was a bar on Mount Fuji, and I guess I
Okay.
must have dreamt that because there's no
Well,
such thing.
we're going to have to open that bar on Mount Fuji.
I think we need to. We need to get up there. So to do a little research, I did put in some of the craziest places to drink, and there's all these crazy bars out there. There's this one bar in Germany that translates to the toilet. There's Bojangles in Alice Springs, which is in the middle of freaking nowhere, but that's okay. That's cool. But the one I had to go with, and I've seen this before.
Hold that thought 1 second. You do know that some toilets in Germany during Oktoberfest only they are pure beer anyway, no matter when they're.
They flush.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't matter really. So.
Doesn't matter. That place is cool though because there's apparently in the bathroom they've got like a male mannequin wearing a kilt.
Okay.
And if a woman goes in there and lifts the kilt up to see if he's going au natural, sirens go off in the bar. So when she leaves,
everybody knows.
Room,
everybody knows what she did. Awesome.
That is phenomenal.
I love it.
There's so much that happens there, but the one I had to go with, and it's because I was already familiar with this, and I was familiar with this because of a TV show that was out there called Three Sheets with Zane Lamprey.
Oh yeah.
And he went to the Philippines, and he went to a bar called the Hobbit House. Now I'm a huge Tolkien fan, so of course my ears perked up.
Well, they got bigger first, and then they perked up, right?
Yes. And I had my second breakfast, and 11Zs, but the Hobbit House, it's the staff are all midgets, short people. Can I say midgets? Short people,
vertically challenged.
People. Vertically challenged. Because apparently in the Philippines there's a lot, and they tend to be homeless. They tend to be shunned. This guy from Iowa opens this bar. He hires all these guys that are living on the street, guys and women that are living on the street, to work in there, and he calls it the Hobbit House. So now they've got jobs, they've got something that's respectable, and they have a phenomenal beer list there, and cocktails. So that's number 3 on my list.
Okay.
Because it's one I had to research. The other two.
Where is it again?
That is in Manila, Philippines.
It's in Manila, I'm saying, yeah.
Manila, okay. Yeah. Number 2 is actually the San Diego Zoo.
Okay.
The San Diego Zoo apparently has one of the best craft beer lists you're going to find anywhere, which makes sense. It's San Diego.
Brewed by the tigers in the Tiger House in San Diego.
With the monkeys helping. The chimpanzees are in there. Every now and then the cassowary gets involved.
Right.
But so
he's
the
the
San
cellarman.
Diego...
He's the cellarman, the cassowary. Yeah.
But the
kangaroo hops.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You got to get that in there. So the San Diego Zoo. So as soon as I brought that up, Carrie's like, "So we're going when?" So we got to get out there.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a couple other things that you might do while you're in San Diego, other than just the zoo. I'm just thinking. I think there might be a brewery or two.
One of the more conventional beer destinations is Stone's Beer Garden, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the San Diego area, so you've got to make it there.
San Diego.
So that would be on the tour.
Of course, there you go. And all right, Dave's either really thinking really intently,
or he's frozen.
or he's frozen. Not quite sure. He's either he's in deep thought right now.
Somebody else just started a binge watching Netflix on
exactly on the Wi-Fi, right? Exactly. Well, you know what? I got to say, this is about the time in the show where Dave freezes, bounces out, and comes back on within 30 seconds. So my guess is that's what's going to happen. So why don't you start your top 3? We'll bounce back to Dave's for his number 1.
Sounds
when he
good.
Comes back on. There you go.
Actually, I came up with number 3. I'll start with the just from a trip to Houston this past weekend.
Right.
I was taken on a dive bar crawl around town. I got to see some of the seediest dive bars that Houston, Texas has to offer.
In Houston, right.
But what was really cool was that at each one there was a local beer or a good Texas craft beer. And 5 years ago, that probably wouldn't be a deal. 10 years ago, I couldn't have made that happen. But on this specific trip, we went to. I mean, I purposefully went to these dive bars, and some of them were like, they were gritty, man. It was awesome, and I really like bars like that.
Oh yeah,
but it was
definitely.
What a time to be alive, where you can go in there and get a selection of at least 2 or 3. So, like to go to a bar like that, you enjoy the vibe at a place like that, but you're probably drinking, Coors Banquet if you're lucky, or something lesser than that. But it was nice to find some good local beers, and it was interesting to see which one each place had picked. Like it almost said something about the dive bar for the local beer that they're like, well, we don't sell stuff like that, it's expensive, but we like this one for whatever reason. So I actually had a really interesting Houston craft beer experience at all the dive in town. So
that's great.
So
that's great.
Is he back?
That was your number 3. He's back.
That was my number 3.
That was your number 3.
What?
We were you froze while you were about to say your number 1, Dave. So we were like, okay, we couldn't tell. Were you actually just thinking, like you were pondering your number 1 a little bit longer? But then we kind of figured it out. So
suspense. This happens every now and then. I just
at this time in the show, almost every time though. Too.
Yeah. Well, it's usually about an hour and a half, not an hour 20. But okay, so number 1, the number 1. Have we built the suspense? Everyone's on.
Everybody's ready. We've gotten Alakran's number 3. So we'll go back to it. We'll.
Okay.
But
I missed the number 3. So
we'll recap it briefly for you.
But my number 1, and it's been my number 1. It's unconventional, and I have a tradition. I've kind of been lapsed on it a little lately, only just because I'm getting older. It's a little tougher.
Well, the mind is the second thing to go, right?
Yes.
You know what the first thing is, right?
No,
I can't remember.
Yeah, neither can I. So I've been a little lax in doing it, but I got to get back to it. And it's usually I'm an avid hiker. Love to hike.
Usually
love to hike.
Usually.
Usually.
You just said usually.
Usually. No,
you said usually I'm an avid hiker.
No, usually I am an avid hiker. It's just lately I've not been hiking too much during the summer, especially as hot as it's been in the Northeast.
Well, of course, yeah.
I mean, to Tony, this is nothing. To us, this has been brutal to us.
It's still something.
It's still something. But it's
not nothing. I mean,
when we get into the fall, I'll get on the trails again. Actually, when we go up to Maine later, we'll be going up to Acadia, and I'll probably reestablish that tradition of packing a beer up.
Sure.
And when you get to the top of the mountain, you crack that beer, and the thing is, we call it Unconventional Destination, but I know some of Tony's here, and I'm sure he'll agree with. Even though you crack the beer at the destination, it's really not about the destination, even though the view is fantastic and that's why you do it. That's why you go up there. But the journey on the way up, that's what you're celebrating when you crack that beer. Mm-hmm. That you took the journey, you saw what you saw, you experienced what you saw, you brought
a beer with you.
And you brought a beer with you.
Like a lot of times, you start taking a beer with you to the top of something, every ounce counts. And physically getting the beer up there is an accomplishment in and of itself.
Right, of course.
Yes, to a culture, a sports culture that I know cuts the ends off the toothbrushes when you backpack, because every ounce counts.
Every ounce counts.
But these are day trips, so the ounces aren't as brutal.
Right.
And the faster you drink them, the lighter they get.
The lighter gets.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's nothing better than sitting overlooking just an amazing vista, drinking a fantastic craft beer. And if you got someone by your side drinking it with you, that's even better, right?
There you go. Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
All right.
So Tony, what was your number 3?
Number
3 was one I just figured out this past weekend. I went on instead of going to the craft beer bars in Houston like I normally do, I actually went on a really unplanned dive bar tour of Houston, and I got to go to some of the grittiest and some of the best joints in that town. I really had a good time at every one of them, but at each one there was a great local craft beer offering in like a hidden gem. And these are the kind of places where you don't walk in and they ask you what you want and you're supposed to already know. You're like, I want a Coors, I want a Budweiser, I want a Bud Light, it's that kind of place. And if you go, you got any IPAs? They just look at you funny.
Yeah.
And
what's
and
that?
actually, I have argued for many years that these are the kind of bars that are actually full of beer snobs. Because if you drink the same beer every time you drink a beer, you're a beer snob.
You're a beer snob, absolutely.
John's got
You're
a
a beer
philosophy
snob.
behind that, right?
Oh,
If you're a, he said like if you're
if you're a Budweiser drinker and you're going to go out and have 5 beers, you're going to have 5 Buds. If you're a Heineken
Right.
drinker, you're going to go out and have 5 beers, you're going to have 5 Heinekens.
You're a beer
if you're
snob.
a craft beer, if you're a craft beer drinker and you're going to go out and have 5 beers, you're having 5 different beers.
Right, and I'm making a point to almost always drink a different beer every time I drink a beer.
which makes us beer sluts.
Yes,
Yeah.
much.
I like that better. I like that
Much
better.
cooler.
I am a beer slut.
But anyway,
Self-proclaimed beer. Welcome to the Beer Sluts podcast.
Changing the name of the podcast right here.
So I told him that like the interesting thing was that they all had a different local offering. It was one or two, but the ones that they chose said a lot about that bar or the relationship it's probably like some guys from the brewery like to drink there when they're not looking,
Sure.
when they're not going to all the other things. And I like going to dive bars because I don't run into anybody I know, and I meet interesting people all the time. And I don't mind drinking a Coors Banquet every once in a while. So
Not a bad thing. I did figure out that beer that I was trying to remember earlier. It's not Texas Blonde. It's Dallas Blonde.
Dallas
Blonde. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of those. What all's happened with the what we call it, a storied legacy that brewery has laid out for us. But yeah, Dallas Blonde it's out there. But I believe
you're not talking about Dave. You're not talking about the beer.
Debbie?
No, you're not talking about the beer from Weyerbacher.
No,
that's a blonde, right? With Dallas in the name.
No, that was not the.
Debbie does Dallas.
We should not. No, we should not say that in front.
We
of
can't
Tony.
say that in front of Tony.
Well, no, he's from Fort Worth. He's not from Dallas.
No,
it's
not
the
from
same
Dallas.
thing. Are you a football fan?
Not really, but
Okay.
I know what you're getting at, so you could definitely say
Weyerbacher Brewing is in Pennsylvania, and they brewed a blonde ale and called it Dallas Sucks.
Yes,
because they're from Pennsylvania, they're Eagles fans, so they're.
Well, here's the thing: if you, and nobody cares, but people from Dallas or Fort Worth, but we don't get along too well. One of the most famous Fort Worth guys of all time, Eamon Carter, which you may have heard his name throughout history, but he was a guy from Fort Worth. He was good friends with Lou Sterrett, the mayor of Dallas at the time. And when he would go to visit him, he would take his own lunch because he wasn't going to spend a dime in Dallas. He'd even take his own thermos full of water because he wouldn't even drink their water. One of my heroes. All right, destination number two.
Destination number 2
is the bottom of the Grand Canyon. If you hike to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, there's a place called Phantom Ranch.
Yep.
And we didn't know that they sold beer, so we hiked some in, and we enjoyed some beers on the way down. Actually, we got to stop and chill them in the water's about 40, 50 degrees.
Colorado.
Yeah. Well, the things that are feeding
Arizona.
into the Colorado.
Oh, okay. So
as you're hiking down to the canyon, so we, and on that hike, every ounce counted. And so the first night, we're like, all right, we got to get rid of this beer first. So we drink our beer, and then we get to the bottom, and we spend the night at Phantom Ranch. And it turns out they sell Budweiser and Tecate. So it's not really craft beer, but a really cool place to get in the middle of nowhere. We ended up meeting the other hikers, and it's not a time where you really want to drink a lot of beer because you still got to hike back up.
Yeah.
And but we did, and we got carried away with these people. I made a beer pyramid of cans with these people inside the little cantina there at Phantom Ranch inside the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Is it harder hiking down or back up?
Up.
Yeah.
Well, mentally up. Coming down though, you're using muscles that you don't normally use in your legs,
and the level of concentration is probably higher than you're used to.
And you go through something. I think they said 5 of the 7 climate zones that exist on the planet. While you make this hike, but it was awesome to know that. That's how important beer is, man. They bring it down by mule to get it down in there.
Well, COVID proved in so many states that beer is essential.
Indeed.
Right.
I mean, we already knew that, but
we knew that. It took a pandemic to teach
we knew
the government
that, exactly.
Right. Yeah, the hiking down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, that's on the bucket list for my oldest son and I.
Nice.
Well, if you do it, I suggest go to the North Rim. Do rim to rim.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes to the South Rim.
Yep.
Millions of visitors a year, and I think something like 5 or 10% of the people that visit the Grand Canyon actually even go to the North Rim because it's a long drive. It takes about
Yep.
4.5 hours to get there. But man, it is an incredible perspective and a place where not a lot of people go. You start from up there, so you'd have to have somebody that could, shuttle you out there and then get back. They'd enjoy the drive and probably the overnight stay. Come down the South Rim. Come down the North Rim, get to the bottom, and hike back up the South Rim.
Well, the two times that I've been, I've gone in through the East Gate rather than.
South Rim is probably. It's practically Disneyland, and
I
would imagine this year I wouldn't even try to go to a national park anywhere.
No, everyone's in
no.
I'd say one thing: South Rim was the first time I ever saw elk in the wild.
Awesome.
Okay. There you go.
Do you know there's a herd of elk out in the far west Texas desert?
I'm sure there are.
Somebody dropped them off out there a long time ago. They've been running wild ever since. So.
Wow.
Propagating.
Right. Number one destination is, and I'm it's a little shameless sort of self-promotion, but the Terlingo Adventure Beer Company is an idea. Some friends.
Say that first word again.
Terlingua.
Terlinga. Okay. Oh, that's where the big barbecue festival is.
Chile. The Super Bowl.
Chile.
The Super Bowl of Chile.
Chile.
It is the international chili competition. Happens out there, but that's the town I live in part time. It's about 15-minute drive outside of Big Bend National Park, and really not even a town. It never has been. It was just an old mining settlement, and people gather in and around there, and it's called Terlingua, but there's no city limits or anything like that. But there are several speakeasies of sorts, just things that exist out there. There's a secret bar hidden in the only piece of private land left inside the boundary of the state park, and then other little places out there. Terlingo Venture Beer Company is one that my river buddies and I we call ourselves the Canyon Arrows. Then that was born on the Grand Canyon trip, but we've paddled and hiked many canyons since. But the Terlingo Venture Beer Company is wherever it is, and if you show up out there in the middle of the desert where all beers are rare, we will always have a brewery fresh selection of stuff that you can't even believe. And we can tell you anything you want to know about it, and it won't cost you a dime.
And one of these days we may have to make a Jersey showing.
I think you should.
Get some of the Jersey beers out there.
I give a lot of Texans a hard time. I tell them if you've never been to the Big Bend, you can't really call yourself a Texan. It is the Texas of Texas. Now, you can go anywhere in the world and tell somebody you're from Texas, and they will have some kind of an idea of what they think that means. Mm-hmm. And that thing that they think that means is still alive and well out there. It is wild frontier. There's still a little bit of the old Wild West left. So
nice.
I've got a friend who's from Corpus, and this lifestyle I see him live. I tell him all the time, "You're not a Texan."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's he's on the Galactic Coast, man.
Yeah, he never leaves.
A little different out there.
Yeah, he either goes up to North Carolina all the time. So it's between North Carolina and the Gulf Coast of Texas. It's like, have you seen the rest of the state? Have you? So I tease him all the time.
You got to get out of there. It's a nice place to be, but and that's the thing about Texas. It has almost everything that all the rest of the United States has. We've got mountains, we've got beaches, we've got deserts, we've got piney woods, we've got plains, we've got hill country. We've got a lot of things going on here.
And a fuck ton of cow.
A fuck ton of cow.
Fuck ton of cow.
Now, I got to call you out because when you first brought up this top three, you had brought up the I don't remember, it was Austria, the one in Austria or the one in Croatia.
Where you could take the bath, the spa bath, and the Pilsner.
Yeah, and their beer. And there's one in Croatia and there's one in Austria. I happen to know the name of the one in Austria, Starkenberger. I forget the one in Croatia though. But yeah, it's a brewery, but they've got a spa attached, and you get to bathe in the beer.
There you go.
That is a conventional destination for me. If you're really into that. If you're into beer, you've probably heard about it somewhere in the world. You can take a bath in beer, and that's something people plan probably a whole.
So anybody who's thinking of posting up their top three, when Tony first brought this up, because everyone goes to St. James Gate, right? That's conventional. Hitting the oldest brewer on the planet, Weihenstephaner, that's conventional,
right?
Right, and maybe hitting these spas, that's conventional. Well, not everyone's heard of them, so maybe it's unconventional. It's somewhere in between, right? Like we said, Stone Beer Garden, that one's conventional. Taking a tour of Brooklyn Brewery or Sam Adams Brewery, those are conventional spots. Sure. So, So keep that in mind if you're gonna post. And I'm also doing this for Johnny because he's yet to go.
Well, I went in so many different directions. I did. I have to say I did. But I will say this. I'll zero it down and keep it in what you guys are doing, because I could give you 3 or 4 different top threes, because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with it or where we were going with it. So I went. Obviously, you guys went first, so there you go. First one I'm going to say is I'm going to throw it in there because it was on all 3 lists. It's not technically having a beer at a baseball game or any sporting event is conventional, right?
Correct.
But having a really, really, really good craft beer, and not just one, a big selection of really, really, really good craft beer at a sporting event, unless you're bringing it and tailgating with it, is rare, because you're not getting that big of a selection, right? Dave and I are both Mets fans, New York Mets. Citi Field has some of the best craft beer at any sporting event that you want to go to. Now, they have several stands on every level. They've even got a beer garden behind home plate, but that beer garden is mostly InBev offerings. Yeah, it's macro. It's a lot of InBev stuff. It's macro. It's
and the
crafty
brands that
they bought. Right, exactly.
But it's also InBev because you're going to find Leffa there. You're going to
you can have Hoegaarden, Stella, all of those, right? But on every level, and there's several stands on every level. It's called Big Apple Brews, and it's all local, small batch New York craft beer.
Awesome.
And on every level, anywhere you go in the state. It's not they have one stand there. They're everywhere. And you can get them as much as, almost as readily as you can get any of the others, you can get those too. And it's actually for a sporting event, a stadium, they're actually affordable. They're a little obviously more than you're going to pay in a bar for them, but they're not what you would think that you pay.
It's about $8 for 16, right?
It was 10. 10 for a 16-ounce can. That's great. Some stadiums you go and you spend $16 on a 20-ounce Bud.
Yeah.
But you can get a 16-ounce can of a local New York craft beer, a delicious New York craft beer for $10.
And John will tell you, the last time we went, he had failed to tell me about this, and he's in the gift shop shopping jerseys, mind you, because that's what he does. And I'm standing outside because I don't want to be in the store because I'll spend money in it that I don't have. Right. And I see someone walking around with a
Premier from
Interboro.
Interboro, yes.
And I chased them down. They disappeared in the crowd. I chased them down.
I knew this already. I believe he's still there. I think his camera went off.
Can you hear us, Tony?
I'll be right back. I got to check on the dog real quick.
All right.
So chased them down, found out where they got the beer from, was very excited to tell John as he got out of the gift shop, and he had already known.
Right.
I yelled at him for not filling me in.
Mm-hmm.
So while Tony's away, we can entertain the crowd a little bit. I can eat some more of the yogurt.
Eat some more of the yogurt. Samurai's going to eat a little more yogurt. He's the yogurt samurai right now.
No, I'm not, because I got it all over my freaking
He's actually just the hungry samurai right now is what he is.
No, if I was really hungry, I'd be eating the cake.
You still have more cake?
Yeah, I didn't finish the cake because I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be good.
Oh, my God, you still have a lot more cake?
Damn it, I'm going to eat the cake.
Holy shit. There you go. I'm having barbecue chicken tonight. It's on the grill right now.
Is it on the grill right now?
It's on the grill right now. It hasn't been on since before the show. Somebody else put it on the grill. Jess put it on the grill.
That would be, as you call her, the lovely Jess.
The lovely Jess put it on the grill already. So it should be done soon, I'm guessing, ish. Or unless it's done already, I'm not quite sure.
Who am I kidding? I'm going to finish this damn cake.
So, who are you kidding? You're going to finish the cake. Exactly. So as soon as Tony gets back, I'll finish. But yeah, I'll spew a little bit more about Citi Field. The beers are really good. I mean, they're all local New York craft breweries, and most of them are in and around the 5 boroughs. Some of them are upstate, and maybe out on the island a little bit. But breweries like Interboro and Rockaway and Single Cut, I think they have some.
Yeah, Single Cut.
Of course, Brooklyn's there too, and so forth. But yeah, the beer list isn't just 2 or 3 long. They have a dozen at least, if not more, offerings. Most of them rotate.
But the thing about Brooklyn Brewing is if you go to like some of the concession stands, the ones that are like built in, right, and you like check like one of the hot dog places or that, you need to do a tour of the whole stadium,
Right.
and mark what they have on tap, because I think they just kind of randomize which stands get what kegs.
Right.
Because I remember finding a chocolate stout, a Brooklyn chocolate stout, at one of the hot dog stands.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You can
What
get
the
a hot
hell's that
dog
doing?
and a Brooklyn chocolate stout. How stupid is that?
What
Stupid good. How stupid good is that?
Stupid good is that? But yeah, you've got to tour the stadium, walk around.
Right.
Because seriously, unless you're down at the field, no one stays in their seats.
Yeah.
You visit your seats, you say hi to your seats, and you walk around the stadium the rest of the damn game.
Yep. I stay for 1 or 2 innings.
Yeah.
I do what I do for at least the first 2, if not longer, innings at any baseball game I get to, and that's I get a program and I keep score.
There we go.
There's the dog. There it is. And
Is
by
that
the way,
is that Lazy Daisy?
Old Lady Lab, she's a little extra trouble sometimes.
Oh, there's Daisy.
so
She's even got a beer color.
A real ale on there.
Real ale Hans Pils. It's a beer they named after their dog. So
nice.
Hans.
So that's
Tilted Barn has 2 brews named after their dogs.
Yep. So Citi Field, that's my number 3. Number 2 is going to be I live down the shore, as we say in New Jersey, on the coast. I'm 4 and change blocks, between 4 and 5 blocks from the beach, and taking a beer down to the beach. And I'm not talking about on a hot Saturday afternoon when there's 30,000 people on your block on the beach. I'm not talking about that. Just
not
like
30,000 people, 30,000 people from New York City and Philadelphia.
From your town. Yeah, exactly. But whatchamacallit, and bringing a beer or 2 down to the beach when because if you do that, especially on my beach and a lot of others in Jersey, and you bring it down there during the day, you're not allowed to, and you'll actually get a $300 ticket for drinking a beer on the beach. Yeah. So I'm talking about
everybody risks it though.
I'm talking about 1 o'clock in the morning. You just you're at a barbecue or hanging out with a bunch of the neighbors and everything else. You go take a walk down the beach, have a beer, walk onto the beach, sit there. Gorgeous night, the moon's glistening in the ocean. It's not too just sit there. It's so peaceful. Just sit there and relax and have a couple of beers. It's really nice. And there are some beaches in New Jersey where you actually can drink, or at least used to be able to drink on the beach, and that would be up like by Sandy Hook and everything else because it's a federally owned beach. They're not governed by New Jersey laws where you can't drink on the beach. But they actually, I believe just before Sandy, I guess too many people from outside the area, we'll leave it alone, kind of ruined it for everybody. And, they finally passed a law you can't drink there anymore.
The law used to be no glass.
Right. Yeah, if you bring cans, you're fine.
Yep.
Now it's nothing at all. So,
or it's only illegal if you get caught.
Well, this is true.
And the best thing for these are the tall koozies.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or here's an idea: make a gin and tonic and put it in a water bottle that has a cap on it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Another philosophy we have is that you're not doing it wrong if no one knows what you're doing.
No one knows what you're doing. Exactly.
People ask all the time in Texas. Marijuana's not legal. They're like, "Hey, can we smoke weed on the patio?" I said, "Well, you're not doing it wrong if nobody knows what you're doing." He goes, "Well, if I light this thing up, everybody's gonna smell
what
it."
I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, do you not hear what I just told you? Like, you can do whatever you want, but if everybody knows what you're doing, you may be doing something wrong.
Right? Exactly.
One of the times I was in Maine, I was talking to the guy who owned the Airbnb I was staying at, and we were talking.
I still have a number 1, by the way.
Yeah, we're getting there. The legality of weed there, and he said, because I said, because I see a lot of people smoking it, but I don't think it's legal in Maine. He goes, no, it's not legal in Maine. But everyone turns an eye. He goes, unless you blow the smoke right into a cop's face, they're not gonna bother you.
Right.
They don't care.
There you go.
They've got other problems.
Well, what's funny is it's actually obviously it's legal in Jersey now, right? They passed the law, yes. So weed's legal in New Jersey now. So, but what's funny is the town I'm in. I'm not mentioning it. I've mentioned it on the show before. I'm not mentioning it in this show, but. All right, I'll mention it, Belmar. Anyway, but they passed a law before the official beginning of summer, Memorial Day weekend, right? No smoking weed on the beach. You will get a fine. Blah 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 blah. No smoking weed on the beach.
Sure, right? That's adhered to.
Every single time I've been on the beach, and I'm not exaggerating. Every single time I've been on the beach since then, I've smelt nothing but weed.
Well, even New York City now, because now it's legal in New York.
Right.
And it was weird when I went back into the office for the first time, walking down Broadway, and I'm near Macy's. So I'm in Herald Square, but there's a square right next to Herald Square, and watching the guy sit there and roll a joint right in front of a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Then I realized, oh crap, it's legal now.
It's legal now, yeah.
Yeah, you walk through Herald Square now, the southern end of Herald Square. I forget what that square is called, but you're going to get a contact high walking through there.
Yeah, a lot of places you're going to do that now.
Yeah, so I'm glad my company doesn't do random drug tests anymore.
Yeah, because you have to do it, but you walk through Herald Square.
The THC beers from Colorado?
Have not yet. No,
not yet. No,
they don't have alcohol in them because you can't put alcohol and
THC in a beer.
Yeah.
Really?
But
so it's a non-alcoholic THC beer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
I've had several hemp beers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're. I mean, you know, it totally gives you. There you go. That's a THC beer.
That's an empty bottle from the trip,
but of course you didn't drink it.
Well, I did there. Yeah.
There, because it's legal there. You did not drink that in Texas.
Of course not.
Yeah.
You didn't drink it in Texas, yeah.
Oh no, I didn't. Definitely didn't drink any in Texas.
We will test to that.
My number one.
Oh yes, that's right. John's still got a number one.
I can't say almost. I can't say every. Almost every single hike that I've ever gone on, and it's kind of an homage to what your one of yours was, Dave. Almost every single hike I've gone on, as long as it's not like a quick, hey, we're going to go out for 3 miles, you know, that kind of thing, you know, just do a quick hike, you know, during the day or something like that. Almost every hike I've gone on, it's a longer hike, and we're going to a destination to do that. Bring beer. So at the end of the hike, that's the reward. Whether it's at the top, you know, and it's usually after the hike. So it's not like hiking up to the top of a mountain, having the beer, and then hiking back down. It's when we're done. You know, you go up, you come down, you go wherever, whatever.
That's actually smart.
Yeah.
Having
the beer when we're done, you sit there and you just relax, and you have a couple of beers, and sometimes depending on where we actually go, if we're going to hang out for a while, if there's no other plans, I'll actually bring a cigar too. I'll have a couple of beers and a cigar, just sit back and relax, and you know, enjoy what we just did. You know,
see, that's smart. I've taken beers, like I say, I opened them at the peak, and one time I made the mistake of bringing regular coffee. Carton Brewing's regular coffee. It's a 12% cream ale. It made the hike down.
That may or may not have been the brewery we were talking about before, but we won't say.
It was. The hike down became interesting.
I can imagine so.
Every step became, because there's one portion of it that's very, very rocky. And one time we took it up there, Carrie and I had gone up to the top. She had taken some medication, and the beer had interacted with it because I didn't know she was on it. And part of the way down, she actually passed out. Luckily, we had taken a break to sit down, because if we hadn't,
it could have been bad.
Yeah, helicopters may have been involved.
Right.
Yeah,
let's just threw over your shoulder and carried her down the rest of the way. That would have been very heroic of you.
I'm no hero. Let's get this straight right now. I'm no hero.
I know. I got you. Yeah.
Well, those pictures I sent you earlier are from.
Oh my God, those pictures are awesome.
Taken. That is in the lower canyons of the Rio Grande. And so that is part of the Terlingo Adventure Beer Company, because it is wherever we take it. And so we have to pack beers and take them. You know, that's an 8-day river trip. So once you get in, you don't get out until you get to the end of it. And that's about 7 or 8 days down the river.
One of the cans you have on there is the same brewery that you just drank, right? Austin Beer Works.
I didn't drink anything from Austin Beer Works. I referenced them, though.
Oh, you referenced them. That's Fire Eagle.
The Fire Eagle, yeah.
Yeah, we've got Nebraska Pils. That's a damn good beer. It's a great Pils.
Yeah, they actually were.
No, you have it. Yeah, the Live Oak Pils.
Yeah,
was one of them.
Yeah, that one.
That one you didn't drink it, but you showed us the can.
But I think I like that all three of us had a similar top unconventional destination. If it's like, you know, a place where there isn't any beer, you just take it with you and
take it with you.
Gotta take it with you. Yeah,
gotta love it.
Tarantula Hawk India Red.
Oh, that's a good beer.
There you go.
That's a Fort Worth beer. Do you know what a Tarantula Hawk is?
I do not.
It is a hornet, and I've heard it's the second worst sting of anything you can get on the planet. And these things are like bird-sized wasps, basically.
Bird-sized wasps.
They hunt tarantulas. They find them.
That's badass.
They sting them. and paralyze them, and then they lay their eggs inside of them while they're paralyzed, and then the eggs hatch and eat the thing from the inside out.
Eat the thing from the
Oh,
inside.
that is brutal.
They're wild. They live out in the Big Bend.
In the Encyclopedia Britannica, under the term badass, that's what there is.
Man,
there's a guy, I can't remember his name, the guy on YouTube that has a channel where he gets stung by everything. He just lets stuff by. It's the stupidest, but it's kind of cool to watch because, like I encounter some stuff like this and I want to see somebody react to it.
Sure.
Even if he's overreacting. But he gets stung by that thing, and he just
has he been hit by a murder hornet as well?
This is worse than a murder hornet. The
really?
Hawk. Yeah.
Damn.
Tarantula hawk.
Like you'd see if you ever see one of these things flying around, you're like, "What the hell is that?" You're like, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
So now is that? Yeah. So now is this a common insect in Texas right now?
In far west, in the Chihuahua Desert of northern Mexico and far west Texas, yes.
Oh wow!
So this is not one of those you bring a fly swatter, you bring a shotgun.
If you bring a fly swatter, it's this big,
or at least one of those like a judge. The pistol that shoots the shotgun shells. Have you ever heard of one of those?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There you go.
All right. So
I don't think
you might want to net it. You might want to net it, and then take a really big hammer.
But you got to watch out because they don't always travel alone.
Oh,
I've been followed down a canyon by one, and I thought, man, this guy's actually following me. Then I realized there's about 4 of them, and they're kind of circling me, and I'm like, okay, it's time to go. Like that, we just cut the trip short.
You have just fueled some of my nightmares.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen, if you come out there, I'll do my best to keep you safe. But
let me see. I just drank a beer with yogurt in it, so I was going to have some strange dreams anyway.
That's fair.
So there you go.
Sauce is not going to help.
I'm used to the hot sauce.
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been
I've had a great time with you guys.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, definitely. We'll wrap the show up at this point, I should say, for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. And don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday at 6:30. And for those of you that want, that's Eastern time, by the way. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. There'll be a few more, actually, next week. I'll unveil who they are on the next show. There you go.
I know who they are.
I know you do.
Hey, I followed you guys from 9 different Facebook pages today.
There you go.
Yeah. That's almost all of them.
That's almost all of them, yeah. Anyway, again, thanks for following along with us. Once again, Alacran, Tony, Beeritual Advisor. What's the other one on your? What's the in the parentheses on your Facebook page? I forget.
Beer Peddler.
Beer Peddler.
Well, on my Facebook it says Beer Paddler.
Beer Paddler.
Beer
Peddler is my handle.
Like
beer and then like a bicycle pedal. PEDALER.
PEDLER. So there you go.
He rides like this.
There you go.
As far sideways as I do straight.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah,
don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you for a second after it. But anyway, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Drink a lot of beer. Drink responsibly though. But enjoy your weekend, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Cheers.
Bye all.
They found me face down in his waffles, maple syrup,